Hello and welcome to another episode of the Shakedown. With me as always, my colleague, my brother, my brethren, my peer, my co-host, the Right Honourable Sir Baxty. How are you doing, sir? It doesn't matter how you're doing. It doesn't matter how you're doing because there are very many F1-centric threads at which we need to pull today. Should we talk about Max Verstappen, Baxty? It's not like we haven't been arguing enough offline. Some say on one side of the fence that Max Verstappen, whilst good, hasn't been great, that was a drive over the course of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekend that you would expect from a half decent driver in a very good, potentially market leading car. Others have said that Maximilian Verstappen is the greatest that I've ever seen, that qualifying lap was a lap from the gods. On what side of that fence, Sir Baxty, do you sit?
Probably in the middle. Like, I think it was just a great all round weekend for Max. Like, was it the greatest weekend he's ever put together? No, like it just wasn't. It was a very solid weekend when you had the McLarens fumbling around
Oh,
trying to catch a hold of
mate.
their own nether regions. It was. Yeah, he didn't really have any competition behind. I think if the McLarens had been there, he would have been put under pressure, but they didn't. Um, yeah, for various reasons. He knew that the cars behind him weren't going to challenge him. Red Bull have clearly upgraded their car, which full credit to Pierre Wache and his team for that, by the way. Because when Shez and I saw that car in Hungary, we just looked at each other and went, "Yeah, they're done. They are finished." But yeah, no, it was an excellent performance by Max. But the Baku suits that Red Bull. With the long straight line speed has been their strength all year. It was a track that may not necessarily suit the McLaren so much. I don't think anyone expected McLaren to be as bad as they were, and I don't particularly blame a lot of that at the team. I'm looking at the drivers mostly, but yeah, it was a solid performance by Max. I wasn't surprised by it. I knew when we got into that last bit of Q3, I was like, yeah, he's going to get pole. I was like, yeah,
It
Max will
isn't
get pole.
never in doubt, mate. I tell you what, my issue with the Max Verstappen thing is that, mate, if I was so convinced, I would back him every single time, Baxty. But then because of the MCL 39 and its double brake duct and it's so fast around these bloody Azerbaijan, and do you know what I mean? Like short corners and bloody 90 degrees and medium duration, and that RB21 suffers from it's like I just don't trust it, mate. And then he goes and pulls it out the bag. That's why I don't want to do. I'm desperate not to do the revisionist historian thing. I didn't think Max was going to put it on, not pre-race at least. I thought that the McLaren would be too quick around here, especially Monza's one thing, right? But the lead was that the upgrades would work around the Italian Grand Prix, but not. I mean, it's the temple of speed, isn't it? So you'd expect them to be
No,
quick.
no. I expected Max to be competitive again at Monza. I still thought the McLarens would be too strong because I predicted Piastri to win that race. But yeah, it was it wasn't surprising to me at all that he did well there. He's always been pretty strong round Baku. He's got a good record there. So yeah.
Has he though, Baxter? So Charles Edwardy, an absolute legend as always, by the way, sir. New Day kicking it again with Cam in the chat. Let's go. So this is, mate. I went deep on the stats and realizing I was pitching as one of Max's bogey tracks. That's the only track around which he's been beaten in head to head by his teammate.
Yeah, but that's because that was literally the only track that Checo was good at.
True.
Um,
Very true.
yeah, so it's yeah, no, it was a fine drive. It wasn't even his best drive of the season. I still think his best drive of the season was Suzuka, not just the drive in the race, but the qualifying lap, the way he put that whole weekend together, getting that pole position out of absolutely nowhere. Like that was just peak Max Verstappen brilliance in 2025. The rest of it was fine. It was not fine. It was very good, but let's not underplay it here. But it was. I wasn't surprised by it, if that makes sense. It was just you did what I expected you to do.
Oh, Maxty, I'm just mate. Every time he does something like that, I didn't think he was going to put it on the pole, mainly because the track was bloody damn. I don't know, Baxter. Maybe
I
I'm
think
a.
when Leclerc yeeted it into the wall,
It's just like,
then the way the conditions were, like I thought he'd be there or thereabouts, but then when that last session started, it was like, yeah, okay, Max will get pole. Like it was obvious.
you
Like I didn't
suspected.
think Norris was going to do it. Like it just, yeah.
I thought because Science, I know Science is in a Williams, but they're getting quicker, aren't they? I thought
Yeah.
Science because he'd done the lap in the dry. I was like,
Yes, yeah. That was the one thing, but yeah, the conditions
they weren't as bad as
weren't as bad
advertised.
yet. And conditions like that at the moment, you back Max every time.
You should never back against Maximilian Verstappen as at the time of writing, like I did when I put some money down on Lando Norris. Like a fool. Let me ask you this, Baxty. Given Max's performances season to date, where do you put it? Is he A, deserving of a position on Mount Rushmore? And B, if so, where on Mount Rushmore does he go?
You know, I did a Mount Rushmore post earlier this year on social media.
Go on, tell me who was on it, Baxty?
So my four were, and this hasn't changed. It's Lewis, Michael, Ayrton, and Fangio.
How very dare you? How very
Uh,
dare you, sir?
for me, so Max going into the season was six on my all-time list,
Oh,
behind
humanity.
those four and Prost. Yeah, we're not talking bad drivers here. Max is in
True.
exalted company. I just think, for me, the reason why he's below those guys is competition. He hasn't had the requisite levels of competition just because, when he was winning some of his championships, he had dominant cars. That there's nothing he can do about that. But it's let me think about this. Sorry, I've still got baby brain.
Don't be daft.
Um,
Congratulations.
but also like I feel like he's just needs more time. I want to see him win with another team, be it Mercedes, be it Aston Martin, whoever. All of those guys ahead, apart from Ayrton, have won championships with multiple teams. So, and that's just a personal thing for me. But he's an exalted company, top six of all time. Look at the drivers he's alongside. If he does win the championship this year, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, that might change. But right now, no.
You know, Baxter, as we said then, I'll repeat what I said to you this week. I just don't know. I think GOAT comes with loads of different permutations and like its length of tenure and like you said that you lean into things that how many different teams did you win with and then it's Fangio and you know what I mean like but I think if you're talking about the best ever, if you use the terminology that Floyd used to use, I'm not sure, and again maybe there's recency bias here, Baxley, but I'm not sure if there's a driver ever in history, chap, that could that wouldn't need to fear Max Verstappen at least when he's had his Weetabix. Like I don't know, chap. I think he'd have flames for all of the aforementioned.
Yeah, he would. He would. That's the thing. Like, and that's why he's in that company. I just have him like he's still writing his story. Like, whereas four of the guys in front of him have done that. It's done. It's in the annals of history. Lewis is winding down. But then it's just Max is still writing, but who knows how far up he will be in his career?
When
We
all,
just don't know.
when all's been told, do you think he can get it done in a championship now, mate? 69 points behind Oscar Jack Piastri. Lando tails his teammate by 25 points. Do you reckon Max can get it done, or is that fugazi?
No, I think it's a. I don't think he will win the championship this year. I thought about it, and people were saying, "Oh, he's going to do it. He's going to." I'm just like, looking at the tracks that are coming up, it's you. We've had two tracks that are definitely more suited to Red Bull than McLaren. We're coming into a little period of high downforce tracks now. I've looked what we've got left. The only two tracks where I can definitively say I think Max is going to win is Mexico and Vegas, because those are two tracks that definitely rely a lot on straight line speed. But then you've got Singapore, high downforce, the only track on the calendar that Max hasn't won at. And I think McLaren was so strong there last year. I think they will be strong there again this year. You've got Kota, again, a track that should suit McLaren in their current form. Interlagos, potentially a little bit of vulnerability there. But I just think I don't see Oscar dropping a stinker like he did in Baku. Like, I mean, that weekend was dreadful.
Insane.
Um, it was one of the worst weekends we've ever seen from a driver.
And from where, chap? Because he'd been Mr. Consistency, right? What is it? 44
Yeah,
races consecutive back to back that he's finished in, and 33 points finishes back to back. It was like
yeah.
unprecedented levels, unless your name is Sir Lewis Hamilton. So what happened, Baxter? Why all of a sudden is it just a mistake, or is the trend your friend until there's a bend?
I honestly don't know. It just came out of nowhere. Like, it was. I've never seen somebody go from hero to zero like that in a weekend. It was just he looked all right. He looked all right. Then he crashed. Okay, fine. Baku people crash all the time. They it just what happens. And then you've got bloody you know he false starts at the does a false start and then he or jump start, sorry, and then he bins it on lap one. I'm like,
Insane, chap.
what?
Insane. You can't even write it, Baxter. I just did
But
it.
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Unbelievable.
He was the big winner of the weekend
In the end, true.
because he only lost 6 points to his main rival.
The racing gods are smiling.
Because Lando Norris, like, oh man, like I wanted Lando to prove me wrong. I've said this before. Like, I don't think Lando is up to it, but I always want him to prove me wrong, and he just keeps proving me right. Yeah, it's like this guy just is not up to this task of winning a championship.
Go on then, Batsy. I need to double click on this, but first, Charles Edward, you're an absolute legend. Grateful ad nauseum as always. If Max wins this year, I'll concede 2021. Oh, the humanity. So, John, legendary settings. If Max starts winning and breaking records in other classes of cars and types of races, where would that put him then? How many times does he need to be inhuman? So, Baxter, it's an interesting one. That I'll take that. So, John,
I mean, we're talking completely different things here. We're talking specifically F1, whereas overall, I mean, good God, how are you going to get a Mount Rushmore from that?
does if you so if you're talking within the confines of F1, then you're saying you can't take into consideration the fact that, I don't know, Jim Clark winning 1,000 different formulas, so then he's probably a better F1 driver. Is that unfair to say? Can you not prejudice a Lewis Hamilton, say, because he's only competed in F1, Baxter?
But that's the thing. It's an impossible metric, isn't it? Like, I mean, Fernando Alonso has won Le Mans. Nico Hulkenberg has won Le Mans. You've got Graham Hill. Is the only guy to have completed the Triple Crown, the only one. It's Scott Dixon being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, IndyCar driver of all time. Like, how do you get there? It's tough. It's almost impossible discussion. Yeah, we think F1 is an impossible discussion, trying to find all the drivers within this one little category, and then you throw it open to all of motorsport, and you got like Sebastian Loeb and OGA and guys like that, and you're just like, that's wow, impossible to do.
True. Go on then. Let's double click on this Fernando Alonso thing, because I was rooting for a while back there, Sir Baxter. I was rooting for Lando, I just think he's a brilliant driver, and he's there's something vulnerable and susceptible about. Like, I just want him to do well. I want him to overachieve, go above and beyond, and fulfill to a greater or lesser extent his not insubstantial potential, right? Because he is bloody fast, Maxty, when he's at his Weetabix. He is rapid. You don't drop 20 seconds on Max Verstappen at Zandvoort last year, even if you do have a very, very fast car, unless you are a very serious peddler. But then looking at him, I mean, bloody last race is a case in point, isn't it, Maxley? You had the opportunity to gap Oscar Piastri. The gap going into last race weekend was 31 points. Just keep your nose clean, chap. Just race with a bit of maturity. Like, victory was in the palm of your hands, and you turned your back on it. I'm like, what's he What
I wouldn't
what
say
what
victory, but yeah,
you
there
were
were big
driver
points.
championship, driver
Oh, sorry, yes,
championship.
yes, sorry, yeah, yeah.
It,
There were
it
big points out there for it, and this is what annoyed me so much. And I've had discussions with people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, but the track was rubbish, and he was stuck in a DRS train, and we're over sanitizing things, and making Max and Lewis out to be these gods because they always deliver, blah blah blah." And it's like, here's the thing: the great athletes know exactly when to strike a big blow. Yeah, we've seen Lewis do it so many times. We've seen Max do it. We've seen Michael do it. We've seen Fernando do it. We've seen all of these great drivers produce a drive at the right moment. And Lando had an opportunity to do it at this weekend. Now, yes, was he screwed over by his pit stop team? Absolutely. Like, that was shocking. And Lando fans do have an argument to make that the pit stops have been a consistent issue this year for him compared to Oscar. That's a fair argument, but he wasn't doing anything to really make you think he was going to take a big chunk of points out of Oscar. No, there was nothing there. Like, he wasn't imposing himself upon Sonoda. He wasn't imposing himself upon Lawson. He just about got past Leclerc. Yeah,
insane chat.
and just I guarantee you in that situation, a fully fired up Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, those guys with the proven track records, they're finishing on the podium. If you put them in Lando's exact position, they're on the podium, at least. You know, I would back Leclerc and Russell with good cars to do that as well. And I think, it just shows to me that he just doesn't have it to win a championship. And it's not like he's fighting Max. If he was fighting Max,
Oh,
you'd
no
maybe
chance.
understand a little bit of, "Ooh, can I do it? Blah blah blah." You're fighting Oscar Piastri, who's very, very good. Don't get me wrong. I rate Oscar highly, but you had an opportunity to put some big points into him, and you only took six.
What a
Oscar's not
clown!
losing sleep over that.
He's an absolute clown. I've
Yeah.
never seen somebody seize defeat on a more frequent basis from the Jules No Mores of
Here's the
victory than
thing:
him.
how many times have we seen him screw up in Q3 this year when
I
he's
know,
been the
mate.
faster driver?
Max D.
His racecraft is terrible. Let's be frank here. His racecraft is not good.
Race
Like, you look at him versus Oscar,
No,
the
there's
way that
different
they've
levels.
dealt with Max this year, Oscar's dealt with him so much better. Like, or
Yeah,
and when you see the best overtakes of the year by McLarens, it's most of them will be from Oscar.
100%. There's
Yeah, and then you
levels.
look at, you know, he just, when he's chasing somebody, he always makes just little mistakes that stops him from getting close to them. Yeah, has he? The crash with Oscar was unforgivable in Canada. Like, you cannot make mistakes like that if you're going to try and win a world championship against Oscar Piastri, who's only in his third year of F1. Now, Oscar has improved this year massively, and we know the talent that he's got. He's such a talented driver. Um, you know, Rookie champion in F3, rookie champion in F2, highly sought after. McLaren went to bat for him in a arbitration to get him away from Alpine, and what a decision that was from Oscar to get away from Alpine. And that's why I will now go out and say this. I think he wins the championship in Qatar.
Oof. Oof. Bold predictions, sir. You
Yeah,
know what? I suppose if you're playing, the bookmakers would concur, sir. I think that's the most likely outcome, but mate, I've been burned far too many times backing against Max Verstappen, and as improbable as Max becoming no 5-time champion is, I've been burnt too many
I,
times.
I
Max, I've
mean,
gone
yeah.
in.
Look, I mean, look. If Max, I'm not saying Max can't win the championship. I just don't think he will because, as I think Singapore, I mean, Red Bull in this reg set haven't been very good around Singapore. I think Checo's win in 22 was the only time that they've won there in this reg set. Um, you've got Kota, which I think will suit McLaren. You've got Qatar, which I think will suit McLaren, and I think you've got Abu Dhabi that will suit McLaren. And we saw what Lando did there last year. He destroyed everybody last year. But I think that there's just too much of a gap to Max for Max to bridge to get back into this championship. the job for him is easy. He just has to win every race and every sprint. And if he does that and wins the championship and McLaren implode, fair play to him. I mean, that's unbelievable effort. But I just don't think I think that McLaren is still too strong over the course of the season. But what I will say is if Max loses the championship by less than 10 points, maybe 10 to 15 points, he will look back on that collision with George Russell and regret it massively because it would ultimately have cost him a world championship.
Chaos. Sebastian, I tell you what, the Papaya Killer team want to hope that Pierre Vacher and Enrico Barbo haven't actually pulled a fast one, literally, and sorted out an RB21, because if they have, rest assured that Massimilian Verstappen is going to be
what
their
they've
worst
done
nightmare.
is incredible. They've actually widened the performance window for both cars. I mean, Yuki has definitely been getting better race on race on race. He was what P6, which is his best result of the year in the Red Bull. Unfortunately for him, he finished behind Lawson. But given where he was when he first went to that team and the culture change that's happened since Lauren Mekis took over, I don't think Yuki's doing that badly. But he's got to get closer to to really. If he starts giving the McLaren's problems,
Uh,
then Max is going to have a real good chance.
It's chaos, mate. Cameron says, I keep seeing people say that Mercedes had a quicker car in 21. Adrian Newey has said that Red Bull were quicker than Mercedes that year. We want to get Shez on here with his charts and his Excel. He's got
The
all the
first
super
half of the
times there.
season. Red Bull was 100% faster. And then there was sort of an argument in the middle part of the season. By the end of the season, Mercedes was definitely the fastest car. But I think probably, I think the last time Red Bull had definitively the fastest car was, I would actually say Kota, but even then I wouldn't say that confidently. But yeah, I mean, end of the season, Mercedes put the new engine in Lewis's car, and it was like,
They were quite quicker than
yes,
quick things.
yeah.
Max is the GOAT of our time, just like any other era had their GOAT, says Una. I do not disagree with that. Lando, says Charles Edward, legend, is as soft as whipped butter. But quick as a whip. But King George versus Max Verstappen must happen, and the boy who cried wolf owes it to us diehards to make it happen.
So if people haven't seen it, I
Wow.
put a tweet up which has done pretty well. I think that George Russell is better than Charles Leclerc. And I
Oof.
also think that of the current crop of drivers, and I don't, look at I don't look at the older drivers like Lewis and Fernando. I'm talking this current generation of driver. George is the only one at this current moment in time who I think could go toe to toe with Max. Don't think he wins at this moment in time, but I think he would really push him.
Um, I just want to see it, mate. I can't even.
Oh,
I don't even
I
want to
can't wait to
speculate.
see it. I can't wait to see
Inject
it.
it into all of
Yeah.
my veins.
And I want to see
2027 King
Max versus
George.
Charles as well.
I feel like we've seen that already. Max did
No, we
2022
haven't
earlier.
seen it. We haven't seen it properly. I want to see a full 24 race season, Charles versus Max. Max will smoke him, personally.
Correct, a hundred
But
thousand
I
percent.
think because I think Charles is the kind of driver that always chases the extra tenth and it ends up costing him at points.
That's the
And
point.
I
But he said pre-season that he was gonna take a tenth, like 10% off, right, to make sure that he can keep it on the island. And yet
Yeah,
and
but his car's
still
crap. Like, let's be honest here.
missed the mistake. What you can't afford to do if you're going to race Max Verstappen for 24 races, Sir Baxter, is make mistakes at the rate that Charles Leclerc does. Speaking of which, Sir Baxter, is around third base, mate. I want to get your opinion on this Scuderia Ferrari stuff, because it's techier than techie things now. They were asked to invert, and Lewis said, yep, I'll do it, and then didn't do it. Do you think Lewis did that deliberately, or was it an innocent mistake?
Okay, so for full context, there'd already been a switch in the race which to be honest with you made complete sense at the time. The reason why they did it was because um, Lewis was on a faster strategy, and it was just like, Charles, get out the way. We've seen teams do it all the time. Like, hey, this driver's on a faster strategy, move out the way. I think George and Kimmy had to switch at some point in this race. I think I can't remember. There was definitely a George and Kimmy switch that happened in the last few races because Kimmy was on the faster strategy. Um, and I think it's that's fine. I think asking them to switch back was stupid because Charles wasn't exactly close to Lewis. Like Lewis was in a DRS train, Charles was a little bit further back. Um, and we're talking P8, P9 here. Those guys are they're built to win. That's what they are. They're built to win, and it's then they're not going to be losing sleep over a P8 or a P9. I thought Charles' radio was a little bit pissy afterwards.
I thought
Like,
it
oh
was.
yeah, let him enjoy it. And it's like,
I
come
thought
on,
it
man.
was very pointed. But what did you expect him to do, Baxter,
Yeah,
after the weekend that he had just gone? Yeah. Cheers, Lewis. Like that. Any time, mate. Marcellus from bloody Pulp Fiction. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I
Open
just I think
season.
it's a nothing burger. Like they're not going to lose sleep over it in the long run. They're just going to carry on and carry on being Ferrari and being crap.
Oh my gosh, mate, it's too
Yeah.
much at this juncture. So, but I think Charles Leclerc will. I don't think he'll forget that very quickly.
No, you won't.
I,
But
I think that will. There will be a point in the not too distant future when people are asking questions about why Charles Leclerc didn't invert, and they want to keep this race and that radio communication on their bookmarks, right? Because you only need reference what happened at the Baku Grand Prix, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, excuse me, in 2025 to see your reason. I think you'll remember that. I think you'll remember, and God forbid the time when Lewis wants to get out the dirty air and leverage a cheeky tyre offset, as always happens with teams like Scuderia Ferrari and two drivers who were so closely allegedly matched as Charles Leclerc. So I think it will get techie. Mate, it will get techie between the two of them, and I can't wait to see it. It's going to be interesting. Go on then, Sebastian. I just want to pick your brain on one other thing. I'm dotting around here, but Lando said recently that his priority isn't the championship, that comes second. What do you make of that, chap? Lots of die-hard grizzled F1 vets have said, Lando, what are you talking about, mate? You're never going to be a champion talking like that. Lando, I guess, would argue that all different types of personalities have been champions of the drivers' variety over the past 75 years. What do you make of this, Sebastian?
it just confirms what I think, that he just doesn't have the minerals. I mean, when you're competing against guys like Max, who literally is just it's everything. He literally does everything he does is geared towards winning F1 races and championships. Lewis has been doing it for 20 years. Fernando's still going. And then you're saying, oh, it's not my motor. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, just, you got to do better than that.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well, mate. When you're talking like that, there would be a drip feed surely into your psyche and mental
Yeah.
fortitude or lack thereof, and the rest of it.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, I like Lando. I want him to succeed. Like, being British, I want him to get this over Oscar. But this was the moment, man. And you didn't step up. And I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm done with the guy.
Full
I can't be
stop.
doing it anymore. Like,
Well,
just
it's
yeah.
it's a toxic relationship that we share with Lando. I want him to do well and succeed, but I feel like
Yeah.
I might have better chances of Santa Claus coming down the Christmas tree,
Yeah.
the chimney, even in delivering my Christmas present. So John Legend, as always, says, "Look at Baxty getting love. Baxty, you have an AI F1 mind,
I
brother."
don't think that's a compliment, though. Paying $50 to hate on me in public, that's
I,
pretty.
I think Sir John's giving you a bit of credit there, chap. I think, and to be fair, you know what? Even if Sir John isn't the legend that is, I will give you credit for whatever you want to say about British bias, mate. You're the length and breadth of your F1 knowledge is unparalleled, sir, in the space. I'll say that much.
Thank
Full
you, mate.
stop.
That's very kind.
New
Not at the
paragraph.
moment because my brain is full of baby stuff.
I mean, yeah, only be a matter of time, chap.
Only
Before
with a
you
2.5 week old or something, yeah. But
that you'll be grand. You're a legend, Sir
thank you, mate.
Baxty. And on that bombshell, I'm going to leave it there. Until next time, same place, next week. Between now and then, you've all been legends. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for joining. I make no apologies for labouring the point that this channel, this community drives and survives by dint of your best efforts. You guys showing up and contributing and continuing the F1 modes of discourse between now and next time. You guys have been legends, but the prosecution rests. No further questions, Your Honour.